Hey there everybody, welcome back to my channel, and say hello again to Remy. He is becoming a special guest in all of these videos because he likes to be wherever I am. And in today's video we're going to be doing another Bookie Babe book review, and I'm just going to say a little disclaimer before we get into it that the book that I'm going to be reviewing today is the best book that I have read since Verity by Colleen Hoover, so it by far is better than anything I read last year. And it is the best book that I've read in like over a year. So we're gonna get into it pretty quickly. And as always, if you're new here, hit that red button to subscribe, and you can give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Also, let me know in the comments your thoughts about today's book. And today's book actually is number 4 out of 24 for 2024. So I've had a very good month. I've finished, I've had 4 pretty quick reads in January, and so I'm very proud of that. And we had a couple snow days, so I've had a lot of time to read, which is nice. So let's go ahead and get into it. Today I'm going to be reviewing the second part of the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. So this is the sequel, Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. So if you have not already read Holly Jackson's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, that one is the first one in this series, and this one is a sequel. I do recommend reading the first one just because it gives you the backstory. It kind of builds Pip up as a teen detective, and it kind of gives you like more of her reasoning and her why for why she's doing it. But the second one is a standalone story from the first. So it's the same characters with a more of an extended story. So in order to really understand the second one, you do have to know who the characters are from number 1. But the author does a good job of filling in those blanks. So if you did just want to pick up the second one, you would probably be okay. And if you have not already read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, you can go check out my review of it here in the channel. It was the last book review that I posted, so make sure you go and watch that before listening to the review of this one. This one will have some spoilers, but again, if you want a spoiler review, you can go find that on my Goodreads at Kayla McClure. And here on the YouTube channel, I try and just keep it like, should you read this book, yes or no. The Goodreads, I do more of the what to expect in this book, kind of some trigger warnings, stuff like that. But here it's just going to be, was the book good or not? And the answer is a resounding yes. As you already heard from the disclaimer, it is the best book that I've read since Verity. These are considered to be a young adult thriller crime series. So I love young adult fiction, and the writing is up the alley of young adult fiction. This one steps a little bit more into the adult realm with a little bit more language thrown in and a lot more graphic depictions thrown in. In the first one, you don't really get, you do get a description of what happens to the victims in the first one, but it is a lot more, I would say, tame. In this one, Pip actually gets to witness it for herself. So it gets a lot more graphic, and there's the climactic moment of the book right towards the end is very, very monumental for Pip. I'm not going to talk about what that event is or any of the characters involved, but just know that it takes a step into like actual crime, and Pip herself dabbles with like some vandalism and things as well. So the book definitely gets its name because in this book, Pip, in the first one, she is a good girl. She's straight A student. She's just trying to do a project. She's trying to like go about it all the right way. And then she kind of is jaded a little bit based on what she finds out. And so it causes her to some darkness to emerge in her. And in the second one, she really like starts to look down on the good girl part of herself and kind of starts to rebel just a little bit, which that was the only thing that I didn't love about the book. I was very much like Pip in high school, straight A student, teacher's pet, all of those things, and I never would have done some of the stuff that she did. In this one, like never in my life would I ever have the guts to do it. So she kind of turns that on its head in this one. Now, this one, the case that she covers in the first one. So in the first one, she investigates the case of Andy Bell and Sal Singh. And then in this one, she decides to put her investigation like into the world through the medium of a podcast. So she decides to start a podcast and then broadcasts her entire investigation. So all of the events from the first book, she has in between book 1 and 2 has created this podcast and uploaded all of that. So everything that we read is now in the interwebs, in the fictitious universe for all these other people to know. And this one picks up with like her getting ad deals and stuff like that on behalf of the podcast, setting it up, talks about recording it and uploading it and all of that. So, which I enjoyed as, somebody who makes content on the internet. It was kind of interesting to see it from a different perspective, watching it on YouTube or watching it on Instagram or whatever, and then like reading about it was a little bit interesting. There was another interesting storyline that I liked in here. This book also throws in the storyline of a catfish. That is a minor spoiler. I'm not going to tell you where or how or when, but there is a catfish storyline in here, which I absolutely loved. I love the show Catfish, and so I was like so into the book. Now, I even think that I jumped into I got into this one a lot more quickly than the first one. And I'm reading the third one right now, and it's a slow burn as well. Like, I'm not as into it as I was this one. So I read from page 90 all the way to the end of the book. So I read from about here, we'll say. I was like on page 100 or so. We'll say I was about like right here. And then I read this entire section in one day because I just couldn't put it down. I couldn't stop. I had to know how it ended. And that's exactly what happened to me with Verity. So in that regard, it read at the same pace that Verity did. And I love the development of Pip and Ravi's relationship in this book. I think that the character development is pretty strong. I like her family's involvement in it. I like the development of some of the other friendships. In the first book, we really get her and Kara's friendship, but then we get more of her and Connor's friendship in this one. We get, again, like I said, more of her and Ravi in this one. So just a lot of development overall through Pip. She's discovering more things about herself, but also her relationship with the other people around her and the lessons that she learned in the first one and kind of her reflection and realizing her connections to all these people. Trying to think if there's anything else. I can't give too much away because I don't want to spoil anything, but it was by far better than the first one. It was a 5-star read for sure. I would give this book a 10 out of 10, and I would say this series is worth reading just for this book alone. I'm going to be interested to see how the third one kind of ends up. As I said, I'm reading it right now, and it's a slow burn, especially compared to this one. Like, I immediately picked up the third one after closing this one, and I was like, I'm not really feeling it. So I'm hoping that the third one kind of picks up, but this one, I feel like I almost could read it again. Like, there are parts of it that were just so enticing, and there is, like, an actual true, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It was just very good. And like I said, I feel like the whole series is worth reading just for this one. And I was raving about it to my sister-in-laws and everybody who are young adult readers, and I just said, this is great. So, kudos to Holly Jackson for a sequel that was actually better than the first one, in my opinion. And I think that this is a great series. And we'll see how it ends up with As Good as Dead when I finish that one. So that's it, I think, for this one. Like I said, if you want more details or a more full review, you can go to my Goodreads and check that out. And then you can check out my review of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson by scrolling down on your feed. So thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for being here. And I do really appreciate each and every one of you, your views and your comments and things. You can share these videos. Let me know that you like them. And I look forward to seeing where else 2024 takes us in the realm of reading. So thank you all so much, and I'll see you next time.